Hello and welcome. My name's Sydney. I'm a psychic energy healer, embodiment expert, and I'm the author of a book called I'm Ascending, Now What? Which feels really perfect for this moment. I like when book titles make you kind of smile and laugh because they are very accurately making fun of our reality. So, welcome to my channel. I'm so grateful for your presence and attention, especially just in this current climate when so much is pulling for your attention. I really intend in this space to provide nourishing, healing guidance to help you feel your best and really connect to your center, connect to your truth, cultivate discernment, and learn ways to live authentically and really live your purpose. I call this living in heaven on earth and really becoming an example of what heaven on earth can be. It's an inside job, and the deeper you go, the more you feel. And we're like these cosmic onions. The more you peel through the layers of what no longer serves and the old identities that no longer work, the more you cry. And today I want to talk about awakening your intuition and why this is one of the most efficient strategies for building your life and business or really creating anything that you want. It's one of the most efficient strategies and tools that we can cultivate towards living in alignment with our true purpose and, I believe, our soul. I've been teaching in the field of intuition and training intuitive healers for about 10 years. And I love the subject so much. I love to really witness others come online with their intuitive gifts and really trust themselves. And right now we are in such a powerful moment of energy that we're just getting hit with, right? Just by nature of being on the planet, just by nature of being alive on Earth, we are getting inundated with so much light, so much information, so much multidimensional data that is inherently helping to open up our intuitive pathways, our intuitive senses. And it's so exciting. It can also feel overwhelming. For some early in the awakening process, it can feel like, a lot of information all at once. And it can also feel like there's a lot of sensitivity coming online all at once. And this is inviting us into developing new capacities to integrate multidimensional information and also to regulate our nervous systems and our emotional bodies so that we can attune to all that is being received, and we can not only receive it with more grace, but we can also utilize all this information, sensitivity, new creative channels, new just abilities. We can utilize it for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. I think this is how the game is designed. So I want to share a little bit about my background, just in case we're new to each other. It might be helpful to contextualize. I grew up in San Francisco, and I moved there when I was in 4th grade, and that's when I have conscious awareness of starting to feel really uncomfortable, really overwhelmed, really self-conscious. I think more than the average person. I didn't know this at the time, but looking back, I was incredibly empathic, which means I could feel everything going on around me and I could feel everybody quite deeply. And I was also really psychic, really intuitive. Now, I had grown up, creating imaginary worlds and spending hours and hours preferring to play with my dolls and my toys more than other people. And I just thought that was normal. That was just my reality. I didn't think of it as being multidimensional or being really sensitive, or that was just my experience. And but really early on in life, even in 1st and 2nd grade, I have really distinct memories of wanting to be someone else and feeling like I wanted to make up stories about what this reality was, or maybe those were my real experiences of this reality. For example, in 1st grade, I got in trouble for telling a lie about, what was perceived as a lie. I brought in this blanket that, we had at my house growing up, and created this story that it was from my Navajo grandmother had created this blanket, and I was presenting it to the class, and I didn't think I had an awareness of it being a lie. To me, it felt true and real. And maybe that was just a multidimensional expression of, this coming from this child, this innocent, childlike wonder. And I just love to play in imaginary worlds. And I always felt from a young age that something was really off about this world. And I felt very sensitive about injustice and inequality and oppression, and just was really sensitive to people's suffering. And I just really didn't understand why people were suffering on this planet, or why people were hungry or homeless or hurt. I didn't understand. So maybe playing and having fantasy was also an escape from that. I also grew up in a household with addiction and just a lot of emotional neglect on. I didn't really get what I needed in terms of attunement and different security put in place at a young age. So I had to develop psychic abilities and empathic abilities as a means of survival. I didn't realize this until later, but I'm sharing in case you resonate. A lot of our psychic abilities develop in trauma. They develop as psychic coping strategies so that we can understand, are we going to be safe? Are we going to be okay? And then empathically, how's mom and dad? How's everyone around me? How are the people I rely on to take care of me? How are they doing? What do I need to do to make sure they're okay so I get what I need at the end of the day and I'm fed and I'm going to be safe? All of this is happening on an unconscious level. And sometimes we can learn to hyper attune to other people and actually disassociate from ourselves so that we're really focused on other people and our external surroundings and don't have a deep connection to ourselves or what we need, or even a sense of self. There might be an underlying fear of, I don't even feel like, for some of my life, I experienced this. I didn't feel like I really existed except through the eyes of other people that I was then feeling and experiencing as though I was them. I didn't have a connection to myself. I was very out of my body because it was uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable being in a body. It's uncomfortable feeling at the level of depth that some of us can feel. It's not preferable, especially when you don't have tools or capacities or help to do so in a way that is regulated and isn't so overwhelming. So that led to addiction and just different ways of coping to kind of mute my sensitivity and abilities for about 10 years. It developed into a really life-threatening style of addiction. So it caused me to look to getting sober. Actually, when I was 17, I first tried. And then this is drinking and drugs. And then when I was 24, I finally hit a rock bottom strong enough to like wake me up. And again, I didn't know this at the time, but I just, getting rid of the substances, the mind-altering substances that I had been using as another coping mechanism to mute the sensitivities, that had to be the first step before there could be any kind of ability to even become aware of energy, healing, starting to, heal the nervous system, starting to feel more peace, starting to know myself, starting to have a spiritual connection, starting to feel like I had a reason to live. I had to get rid of the stuff in the way first. I had to get rid of those addictions and those unhealthy coping mechanisms. And that was really hard. I thought my life was over because that was all I had known for most of my life, was like partying and being this character who loved to bring people together to party, but always through this really disempowered lens of needing to be really under the influence of a lot to even feel comfortable to be around other people. And I did that for 10 years. And then when I got sober, when I was 24, I started to feel actually more crazy at first. I started to feel, because all my emotions came back. All of this energy I had been repressing through using drugs and alcohol, I tried to shut down. It wasn't really shut down, it was just repressed. So all of the stuff I had been repressing for 10 years came up. And it was really scary because my life started to look a little bit better. It started to look a little bit more manageable. I wasn't getting arrested or taken to the hospital or losing all my stuff, my wallet, getting hurt. I wasn't waking up after blacking out with someone I didn't know. There's a lot of things that had changed and life started to look a lot better. And at this time in my life, I really cared about how things looked also. That was a big coping mechanism for me that I had developed early on. As long as I look good, I can feel good. And also, what do you think about me? And if I can get you to think highly of me, then maybe I can feel okay. And that took a lot of unwinding. And so, I was getting sober and I was starting to feel better, but I also felt really overwhelmed by my emotions. And I think this is what's happening to a lot of people right now. Maybe you listening, resonate, awakening, ascension, uptick in planetary energies, getting blasted with more light, with more information, more of our multidimensional aspects coming online, more soul memories and access to our soul history, even so many elements of I believe, our true selves coming online and coming into our access, in a more conscious way. It's so exciting, but it can be really scary and overwhelming if you don't have the capacity or the tools to navigate some of these changes. So that was what was happening for me, right? And it was really scary and I didn't know what to do and I didn't know what was wrong. And I was starting to work with life coaches at the time. I was deepening in my own energetic healing and practice and training, learning about Reiki and the Akashic Records. And around this time, I was asking for help. I was like, who do I go to for? I don't even know how to describe what I'm feeling, but I just feel so heavy anxious. I don't get it. Everything looks okay in my life. I don't understand why I feel so anxious and even like paranoid and stressed. 2 different people, unrelated, recommended I go to the same woman, an energy healer in Brooklyn named Rebecca. And I saw her for my first Reiki session. Changed my life. And I felt clear. I felt like I didn't recognize myself. I had cleared out, she helped me to clear out all this energy of all these other people and places I didn't even know I had been absorbing and holding. Because I was unconsciously being in this empath, sponging up everything around me. And I didn't know. I didn't know I was carrying it around. I didn't know I didn't know that I could get rid of it, that I could actually transmute that energy. I didn't know that I didn't have to absorb it in the first place. It blew my mind how much better I felt. And she actually taught me the word empath. I had no idea that word existed at the time. This is in 2015, 2014. It was actually more around 2013. And it blew my mind. I had a word to describe how I felt my whole life. It changed everything. So I worked with her more. I eventually became an energy healer. And I just started learning about energetic hygiene, and I started allowing my intuition to come online more as I did the energy management and the emotional kind of clearing, especially of other people's stuff I was taking on. I started to feel myself more, and my psychic abilities came online even more fully and more clearly. And I could have more capacity to listen and really hear and feel myself. And it was so amazing. And I felt like I came home. My first experience in the Akashic Records also changed my life. It was a couple years after the Reiki experience, and it just felt like coming home. And I think as we start to attune with our intuition, all of us are very intuitive, by the way. We are all empathic, by the way. We all have capacity to be highly multidimensional, psychic, empathic beings if we like. This is just how it is being in a human body. We have these abilities. Every single person. And I think it feels like coming home. The more you feel yourself, the more you feel your abilities, the more you feel your intuition, the more you allow yourself to trust and listen and really source your own guidance for designing your life, allowing this essence that you are to guide you. It feels like home. Now, again, these changes were not overnight. This is a lot of 10 years of really diligent healing and practice. I hope you can feel the transmission of this just through my words, and it is helpful. Because everyone will also have a different path along this multidimensional embodiment journey. We all have very different, unique paths. And, part of my path in learning to really trust my intuition happened to be, also cleansing, doing some parasite cleanse, doing some, just asking for help, asking for a lot of help, being willing to be supported in clearing out my vessel on all layers, all levels, physical, emotional, mental. What do I need? Starting to really get intimate with my own being. What do you need, body? I remember when it unlocked a few years ago, this awareness that like my body is its own being, that we have our soul consciousness or spirit or essence, however you relate. And then the body has its own consciousness. It's its own being. I talk about this in my book, I'm Ascending Now, at the body as a portal. And the body is really this bridge of heaven into earth, right? Our spirit being heaven, our soul being heaven, the body being earth, heaven and earth, heaven into earth. So how is our soul resting inside the body as an emanation of heaven on earth? And maybe this is part of our game here on earth, to play this out. And I also, what's coming up too is I was an energy healer and a psychic for years, and then I had this experience that I think a lot of people are going through now, which is like this awareness of how disassociated you are actually, right? It's like this paradox of embodiment where we just can go infinitely deeper into our presence and infinitely deeper into our conscious awareness of what presence actually is and what that feels like. And I had an experience in 2021. I went back to visit my parents in San Francisco after not seeing them for a couple of years. I was in Hawaii. It was during the mass shutdowns and everything. And we had some disagreements about our viewpoints on that whole unfolding. But eventually they said, "We miss you, come home." And I went to visit. But I had done so much nervous system healing and rewiring in Hawaii, not to mention just being on some of the most sacred land in the world. And I allowed so much to change in my nervous system. I cleared so much trauma. I mean, it was a lot of work. I was doing like hours-long practices every day, and I had a lot of guidance and doing a lot of work to heal. And frankly, just be alone and feel a lot. Like I sat in this river in Maui called the Iao River Valley, and I would sit there and cry, and I was alone, and there was no one else on Maui, it felt like, and I was just with my guides, just crying and releasing and just letting this ancient grief go. It was really not pretty, honestly. It probably looked beautiful, but it felt really hard. And it was like this initiation of choosing to really live here on Earth and really choosing to inhabit this life, which is also, I think, a choice many of us have been given even this last year and now. Like, do you really want to be here? Do you really want to be all in? Do you really want to go through the initiation of what that means? It's scary because it's unknown, right? We've never been through an energetic experience like this before. This much energy, this much information available. It's requiring a very deep capacity. It's requiring us to really know ourselves, to really come home to ourselves, to really love ourselves. It's very confronting. So anyways, I had this experience where I went to visit my parents I hadn't seen in 2 years, and I went to see them at my childhood home in San Francisco where I grew up. And I was a completely different nervous system. I didn't know this, but I felt it when I walked into their house. I felt completely different, and I felt so aware of the misattunement, the energy being off in the house that I grew up in. It was like this, I had a panic attack basically of feeling the contrast of the insanity of this energy where I grew up that I had just normalized and thought it was totally fine my whole life, until I finally had this different nervous system that could feel the misattunement, the incoherence, the incongruence, the lacking presence, the disassociation, all the things. It was really overwhelming. I had a panic attack. I went into what used to be my childhood room. It was so funny. And I, told my parents, I can't hang out with you right now. I'm going to work. And I texted one of my clients who was a psychotherapist at the time, and I said, I need help. I don't even know who can help me, but I need help. This is really scary what's coming up for me right now. And she put me in touch with a somatic therapist who I would end up working with for 4 years. And I've told this story a few times, but I've never told it in a video, so it feels good to share it, because I believe this is really possible for many of us right now, to have in shared presence with another person who can really hold the mirror for us of like clear attunement and embodiment. It's in those spaces we can feel and see how not in the body we actually are. So this is in 2021 or so, 2020. I had a awareness of being highly disassociated when I started working with this woman, and feeling how out of my body I actually was, even though I thought I was very present, embodied, teaching about authenticity, energy healing, being an energy healer, being a psychic for all these years, helping hundreds of people at that point. It was fascinating and really humbling, but I had that experience of choosing again, I really want to be here. But it was only in the presence of someone else that had done that work to template themselves, right? Where I could feel with them. This was on a Zoom as well. It wasn't even in person. It was really mind-blowing. But we can do this for each other. I could feel how I was not in myself. And with her over years, I practiced just staying, coming in and staying, and also learning to sit with really complex emotions and feelings, and just a lot from the past, frankly, holding space for grief, for anger, rage, a lot of shame, a lot. And these things happen when we're ready. There's like this magical element of being ready and also being guided. And I was guided because I needed help. It was kind of from a place of desperation and reaching out, but I reached out for help and I was willing to receive the help. And now things are not as intense in the last couple of years. Things have not been as intense to get my attention. And I think that naturally happens on this journey, that the wake-up calls get less dramatic as you develop more attunement and trust and self-love and self-worth. You don't wait until major fires happen to get your attention, to get support. You develop the capacity to be more resourced and have support more consistently, so those big fires don't happen as much or at all. And so it felt important to share that, because I think a lot of people right now, maybe you listening, are going through these really, they're like big awakenings. They can feel like explosions of consciousness. They can feel like soul integrations from multidimensional aspects coming in. Some people might even feel like you're a new being, a consciously aware new being coming into a new body. And I want to normalize this. Actually, these are walk-in experiences or soul aspects integrating. It's very normal. I've been seeing this for 10 years with people in different levels. And right now we are in an accelerated moment of embodiment and multidimensional opening and awakening, where all of us are receiving more soul infusions, information, memory. And there's really an invitation to develop more of our innate capacity to take care of ourselves and resource in the ways that we uniquely need to feel grounded and centered, and where we can really trust our intuitive sense. A lot of reality right now is giving us tests and training to discern, to cultivate very clear discernment of what is true for you. There's not one, well, you could say universal truth is love, or maybe that's it. But we all have different orientations to it. Can mean something totally different to you, right? Based on your discernment of what is true for your body, which is really a tuning fork for truth. When you start to clear out some of these old densities and emotional patterns and traumas and imprints, coping strategies, your body becomes really sensitized and attuned to truth, such that if you're in environments where there's a lot of distortion or manipulation or agenda, it can physically almost feel painful to even be in spaces like that. Because the body is designed to vibrate in resonance with truth, and then to protect you from harm by resonating, by feeling dissonant with what is not truth for you, for your body. And so what comes to mind is like muscle testing, right? You can muscle test the body based on what is good for you or what is not. Really anything. Some people love to do this. You can also develop the intuitive ability to feel what is good for me, what is not, and what do I need to be supported. And when I'm teaching people to open their intuitive gifts or attuning them into the Akashic records or other multidimensional attunements, perceptions, one of my favorite questions to start with in that journey is just by asking your guides, what's most important for me to know? What's most important for me to receive? What's most important for me to remember? These are amazing questions to start playing with your intuitive ability and sense, and just opening up that different pathway of resourcing yourself and listening to yourself, being your own best ally and guide, and then opening up this whole big, it's like I like the word legion, it's like really legions of guides and support that we all have access to in our own way. So I'm just breathing that in. We've been conditioned over many lifetimes to repress our intuitive abilities and the inherent wisdom that we each hold. It goes very deep. We can call it the witch wound, persecution by organized religion over many centuries, even longer than we would really know, to be honest. There's much more history being restored of like the true happenings on this planet. There's much more being restored at this time because we're capable of receiving it and kind of like right-sizing our place in reality now. And there's this feeling of power being given back to the people, right? If you're willing to receive it. And there's an urgency, I would say. There's an invitation, very alive, to claim your power back from any outside sources that you may have given it to. And so much of our reality is designed to take your power and to entrain a sense of follow the leader, be told what to do, only orient from your mind, think, don't feel. Even a lot of personal development stuff is like, think, don't feel, action, don't feel, disassociate, don't trust your emotions. I see a lot of stuff like that out there. Even, some new age spiritual stuff is very disassociative and very like bypassing and just be in the light and ascend out of the body into the source field or whatever they say in the higher dimensions out of the body. And what I find to be true is everything in our reality is helping us to remember the importance of our body as that vessel for the spirit to express itself in heaven on earth. We're nothing without our body. Literally, we're nothing without our body. I believe we came in as infinite spiritual beings into the body to feel, to experience, to physicalize consciousness, right? To actualize, to experience divinity through all the senses. And just orienting in the mind is such a limited way of being, right? It's like that metaphor comes to mind of like going to the ocean and bringing like a little thimble to collect water, or going to a river rather to collect, you're very thirsty, and you go to infinitely beautiful streaming river, and you just bring a little tiny thimble to fill with water to drink. That's like living in the mind only, living an analytical, logical mind, following the leader, being told what to do, however that orients to you, versus your intuitive, multidimensional self. Maybe on some level realizes I am the river, and you then have infinite access to this river, and that to drink, if you're thirsty in the body, you bring, like, you have access to all these different mechanisms with which to gather the water. This is a good metaphor. You have like everything. You have all the different tools, all the different ways. You like have the ability to see, like, well, let me actually build a big container where this river will flow and I'll have an infinite supply stashed here for me to easily source from. Something like that. So I love that metaphor. Thank you. And yeah, there's just so much I could share about this. And I wrote a big book about it, 2 books. So, and I've been sharing about this for a while, but I'll leave you with this because, yeah, actually, rather than talking about it, I always prefer to guide embodied experiences and practice so that you can feel for yourself where you're at and what you might need and what you might want. So if you're open to it, it can take 2 minutes. And I'm going to share a technique for you to deepen in your intuitive connection, deepen in your trust, in your guidance. Everything starts with the breath, so just allow yourself to close your eyes for even a moment. Deepen the breath, relax, slow down. Obviously, only listen to this if you're in a space to do this safely. But just really give yourself just 2 minutes from your day. Just rest, relax, receive. Relaxing all the muscles of the face, the arms, neck, front and back, hips, legs. Let your next deep breath be from the bases of your feet. You can even breathe in energy from the earth all the way up to the top of your head. Activate. Open up all your cells to fill up with light. Feel the aliveness, the presence that you are. Hold the breath for just a moment at the top. Breathe in a little more. Exhale when you absolutely must with a sigh or a sound. Clear out all that old gunk. Feel your energy drop down through the whole body, right? Instead of being so contracted and constricted along just the mind. This is how a lot of people are moving through their day. Just even this happens to me sometimes. It's like the energy gets to be like a mushroom cloud where it's all up in the upper part of the body, in the field, in the head. And then all this, how do we bring the energy down so that the whole field, the whole body is more vibrant, more empowered, more enlivened? We have more access to our full capacity. Some formula of breath, movement, and sounding with our voice usually does the trick. One more deep, full, activated breath through the soles of the feet, breathing in energy of the earth up through the whole body. Exhale with a sound or a sigh. Maybe a light shake. Feel your energy moving more alive, more awake, more open, more magnetic. Now, from this place of openness and receptivity, ask, just for fun, just to play, asking your guides, your soul, your essence, just asking your intuition, whatever that means to you, tapping into that felt sense of knowing what is true for you, knowing what is right for you. This is how your body is wired to know your path. And just ask, what's most important for me to know right now? And see if a message arises through any of your sense perception, sound, image, auditory, taste, anything at all, a sensation in the body. Just pausing and feeling, exploring, opening, receiving. Trusting that the right messages always come for you when you're ready. They'll always come in perfect time in the way that's most efficient for you to receive. So if not now, then another time. Life might even give you the symbol, the answer in your waking life through another person, maybe in dream time. It will always come. Guidance will always come when you ask, always, guaranteed. Not always on our timeline, not always in the way that we think. Keyword think. And it will always come as we practice more. It will always come. It's up to us to discern and attune to our unique sense of intuition and knowing and developing that trust and affirming it by taking the action. that comes through that divine guidance, acting in divine timing, being a co-creator with our guidance, never having to do anything alone again. No longer orienting from that really single limited focus of the mind, or what we have been taught to believe is possible, seeing far beyond that. Remembering our infinite capacity as creator beings, as multidimensional sources of power, of purpose, healing. And then take another deep full body breath in from the earth. Exhale with a sigh sound. A little bit light shake, feel good. That was a little longer than 2 minutes, but that's what came through. I hope that was helpful. Just notice how your energy is feeling now, how you're flowing. Feels good. I'm really grateful to tune in with you today. Thank you for joining this session. It was really fun to share, and I hope it helped. I'd love to know in the comments how this landed, how it resonates, where you're at in your path with trusting your intuition, how that's shown up for you. Even if you're not new to this whole game, maybe you're an energy healer. A lot of people I worked with over the years are highly attuned guides and facilitators and healers and amazing beings. And even after you've had years and years of experience, there can be deeper initiations in attunement and discernment and self-worth and self-love, and like deepening even more in your ability to trust what is true. Deepening even more in your conception of your guides, of your source, of what is leading you in your life. I know that's been a lot of the last year and a half, 6 months for me, really has been deepening this relationship, my relationship to source, to God, really letting more spirit move through me and creating what I'm here to create. Letting go more of what I thought I should be, how I thought I should be, how I thought everything should look. Because sometimes there can be the trap too of being highly psychic and seeing a lot of the future and knowing, pretty accurately what may be coming. Certainly can see for other people, but sometimes that can be hard for yourself to wait a minute, let go, let go, let go. I can see and feel clearly what's coming through at times, and also I'm willing to surrender to really letting a different flow happen through me. I'll let go of how it looks, but practice the attunement to how I want to feel and really follow that. Really listen and really trust beyond the mind, beyond what the mind will think is right, beyond how I thought it should look. Really trusting that deeper sense of expansion, of this new frontier of creativity and possibility that's guiding many of us now to create these really new futures that we might not have ever seen coming, but that they feel like home and they make so much sense on different levels, maybe not to the mind. They're so new. So much of what's coming in and what's being given to us is so fresh and really feels like from the future, and it's requiring us to unlock our full multidimensional capacities and abilities, and to be in the body, to really be in the body and to let it come fully online. Yeah, so here we are, and it's so fun to practice in community. Thank you so much. If there's any way I can support you, let me know in the comments. I'd love to connect more. I'm building up more of this community here, and it feels really good, feels really on time. I have tons of resources listed below in the links, including one-on-one soul sourcing sessions, the Embodied Ascension Academy, where I have tons of transmissions, similar to what we just did, but longer and more in-depth and kind of more thematic focuses. And check out my books as well. Visionary Souls podcast is another great resource, kind of a time capsule, but we deep dive into subjects of leadership and authenticity, sexuality, abundance. It's all there. So I'm so grateful to connect with you. Thank you again for your attention, your attunement, and for taking care of yourself. I hope that this was supportive, and I really look forward to connecting again soon. Thank you so much. Aloha.